Good morning. Well, the rain is sweeping over the land outside, so I'm choosing to do this one inside, protect the devices. So I received an email from Jacqueline, who received it from Wendy, who received some information from Sarah, who reposted a post from an astrologist. I don't even know who this comes from, but having given it some study, I do feel it's incredibly helpful. So let's just go straight into it. So we are at the moment experiencing what we call Pluto retrograde. Pluto, the planet of karmic patterns, rebirth, restoration, healing and transformation, has now stationed retrograde and will remain retrograde until the 4th of October 2020. This Pluto transformation is a long process that started taking effect when Pluto moved into its pre-retrograde zone on the 3rd of January 2020 and will come into full completion on 25th of January 2021. Quite a process, more than a year. While we may have noticed life changing dramatically since the beginning of the year, the most intense and noticeable phase will be between the 25th of April and the 4th of October 2020 this year. During the next 5 months, our deepest and darkest repressed and unvoiced fears may surface, and collectively we will go through a major transformation as we learn how to acknowledge, transcend, and release them. I feel like I want to say that again. During the next 5 months, our deepest and darkest repressed and unvoiced fears may surface, and collectively we will go through a major transformation as we learn how to acknowledge, transcend, and release them. And I guess that's the title. Sometimes I don't know what the title of a film is. That's what the title is that. Subconsciously, many of us have a deep-rooted fear of change, and despite vehemently wanting certain aspects of our life to change and move forward, we hold ourselves back purely because we are so afraid of a future that is as yet unknown. Pluto retrograde forces us to come face to face with our fears by continuously triggering our unhealed traumas and amplifying them until we have no option. Let's say that again. Pluto retrograde forces us to come face to face with our fears by continuously triggering our unhealed traumas and amplifying them until we have no option but to eventually confront them, feel them, heal them, and finally let them go. Despite being a dwarf planet recently downgraded in classification by astronomers from planet to planetoid, Pluto is highly capable of causing ginormous emotional storms, particularly within our closest relationships. All of this happens purely so we release anything or anyone that causes harm, that no longer resonates, or that repeatedly brings our energy down. This fallout is necessary so that we deconstruct anything out of alignment and then reconstruct to create happier, healthier, and more harmonious dynamics and lifestyles. Pluto is known for clearing the build-up of heavy, lower vibrational karma, so we will likely notice a sudden clearing as though our energy has been recalibrated and reset. This retrograde is known for delivering karmic repayments. So those who have been spreading good energies and have been of service in some way will notice an abundance of blessings flowing their way all through this retrograde. Pluto is an immensely misunderstood planet, which in turn can also cause us to feel misunderstood, lonely, or even an outcast while under the influence of its process of retrograde. We may notice our energy being misjudged, or that our words are deliberately or mistakenly misinterpreted. Over these few months, we may become aware of being the scapegoat within our family, social circles, or recognize we are being unfairly judged, diminished, dismissed, or discriminated against. Rather than turning inward and hiding ourselves further, this is a time to end self-destructive coping mechanisms and instead to make peace with aspects of ourselves that either we or others shame, criticize, or put down in some way. We will be releasing the need to be liked, accepted, and agreed with, and instead we will find power in becoming comfortable with our unique character traits, beliefs, ideologies, and life choices. Power struggles will play out continuously during this retrograde. Power struggles will play out continuously during this retrograde. And we will be recognizing where our own power lies, where other people have power over us, where we feel utterly powerless, and most notably how the overall collective power greatly impacts many parts of our lives. We may even discover that we have been limiting ourselves and blocking the blessings coming towards us simply because we are so afraid of how other people wrongly interpret our energy or take our intentions out of context. It is possible that we will be feeling discontented. It is possible we may be feeling discontented with the state of the world at stages during this retrograde, and also that we may feel as though our power is being ripped from us. It is worth remembering that Pluto is capable of totally transforming paradigms and is notorious for taking down power structures. It is worth remembering that Pluto is capable of totally transforming paradigms and is notorious for taking down power structures in order to rebuild them in a fairer and far more ethical way. Therefore, be aware that certain things may have changed entirely by the end of this retrograde, fortunately for the better. Rejection and abandonment will be two of the main themes that Pluto unearths over the coming weeks, mainly in relation to why we allow other people to determine our worth, and why we cling to relationships and friendships that we know are not healthy, or where the energy is not reciprocated equally. We are being called to rise in our power more than ever before, and not to be afraid to stand strong for what we believe in. We will see that we and others around us are really beginning to courageously own and accept all aspects of ourselves by reclaiming and speaking our previously hidden personal truths. That's why I've been making these films since 2008. That is the driving force. Pluto is known as god of the underworld and has a tendency to shine a light on the darkest sides of our own or other people's souls. Although this can sound daunting, its sole purpose is for deep soul development, so that we transmute heavy and lower energies and transition to a higher, lighter, and freer vibrational reality. This will be intensely transformational for relationships, as we finally talk through issues that are normally suppressed or ignored. What an opportunity the lockdown has been providing for that. As we uncover aspects of our own or other people's shadow sides, rather than running or hiding, we will be far more likely to sit in the darkness openly and compassionately communicating our past, present and future fears, which is exactly what's going on. Expect conversations surrounding jealousies, possessive behaviours and deep-rooted insecurities during this time. it is highly likely that long-kept secrets will be shared or spilt, and that we will recognize who we can trust over these next few months, which results in much needed inner healing through feeling validated, heard, and understood. This retrograde may feel ruthless and destructive at times, as we purge entities that have caused us to doubt ourselves and hold ourselves back from creating the existence we've been longing for. We often don't even recognize that some of our own patterns of behavior are deeply harmful, and that we actively hold ourselves back from becoming the greatest version of ourselves, quite simply because we have been judged or ostracized every time we ever began to shine in the past. That's how things used to be for many of us. So many of us used to feel judged or ostracized every time we used to dare to take the risk to begin to shine. That's the past pattern. We often talk about transformational phases of our lives, and while we are constantly transforming traumas and transitioning outdated programs on a daily basis, without even realizing it some of the time, Pluto retrograde forces the most noticeable and extreme death, rebirth, rise, and regeneration. This retrograde is a destroyer of the old, essentially so it can build a far greater new. Our senses will be heightened and we will be finely tuned to subtle energies during this retrograde, with truths being revealed, whether it's through people finally admitting their true feelings, either in a positive or a negative way, or whether it's masks being removed, with true intentions and motives unraveling. Either way, this will be a 5-month period of revelations, insight, clarities, which ultimately means we will no longer be able to turn a blind eye or repaint people's true colours. Pluto kickstarts the retrograde season, where one planet after another will be turning retrograde over the coming months. This is actually a vast oversimplification astrologically what we've been having going on. We've been having all sorts. Planet after planet has been having a experience with Pluto. That's about the easiest way to put it. And it started at the end of late last year, and it's going on all this year and all the way through to early 2021. Life has generally been moving at excessive speed while all major planets have been direct. Now we witness a sudden halt of energies, offering us the opportunity to slow down, rest, rejuvenate, and then restart as a succession of planets chooses to join Pluto in this retrograde experience. When a planet turns retrograde, its energy turns, and our energy turns in alignment with it. We will suddenly feel different, and the qualities associated with the planet become magnified, where they start to play a vital role in our lives, most particularly on a subconscious level, beyond our everyday awareness. When a planet rests, we rest with it. However, as we will discover, it is when we are silent and still that we begin to notice where energy is discordant, in particular where the parts that cause the most difficulty and discomfort. Retrogrades turn our energy inwards and intensify that energy, which is why many of us withdraw and become far more introspective and introverted when planet chooses to station retrograde. Although retrogrades may seem chaotic, they are huge blessings in disguise. They shift our focus so we become aware of anything that's not aligned in our lives and take note of the unhealed wounds and unresolved emotions that are desperately trying to gain our attention. And with reference to that, there's something on Netflix at the moment It's #1 in the UK today, and it's called Afterlife. And when this came up, I had this instant feeling of, no, don't want to go there. Ricky Gervais, Afterlife, thank you very much, no. I knew when I got such a strong reaction that I would need to surrender to that and allow my no to morph into a yes, which is exactly what happened. And I began an experience with Afterlife yesterday evening, and it's of course bringing so much up for me. Person's experience lots and lots of deaths close at hand. So that's how it works, right? I want to say that once more. When we return the spotlight inward, we are able to see where we've been going wrong, where we are currently at, and where we are heading. Ultimately, this helps us take accountability for our personal journey, so we avoid repeating the same mistakes. Retrogrades are known to make us feel highly intuitive. We may find issues with sleep, with irritability, and we may find ourselves feeling on an energetic high, and that our lives seem far more turbulent than usual. With sleep deprivation, that does increase confusion, which is a very powerful state, as all those who've studied shamanism know. It enables new possibilities to arise that otherwise would have been ignored. And it can also cause us to feel edgy, as though we are running on adrenaline, causing us to feel achy, over-emotional and irrational. In other words, all sorts. As we move through this period, we will want to cleanse our homes, our social media accounts, our friendships, as well as reconsider commitments and eliminate old habits that no longer serve us. This detox will be severe at times as we purge old energies and we remove anything or anyone that prevents us from moving forward and achieving our own peace, evolution, growth and unfoldment. Even though it feels far from it at the time, retrogrades are always beneficial. This is a period of soul searching and reflection, and one of accepting who and what is meant to be in our lives, and then compassionately releasing who and what isn't. It is worth treading lightly and with caution during this time. It is not recommended unless absolutely necessary to make life-changing decisions during this time. It's a time for reflection, introspection, caution, not for hasty emotion-fueled reactions. Retrogrades are catalysts for positive transformation and radiate waves of cosmic energy that shake and alter our lives, giving us the opportunity to wipe the karmic slate clean and to turn our lives around for the better. Thank you, unnamed astrologer. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Wendy. Thank you, Jacqueline. Namaste. Aloha. So much love.